talk to us. Can you give us a sign of your presence? And welcome to Let's Talk Ghost. I'm your host, Steve.
I'm Dan.
And I am Will.
And it is June 15th, 2014. How you doing, Dan?
Doing all right.
Will?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's cool. I got big news.
Yes, you
Yay! I passed my 3-day grueling motorcycle safety course and got my motorcycle license.
do. Yes, you did.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I went to the DMV with him today. It was very exciting.
It was exciting. Now I don't have to depend on Dan to go riding.
Yeah, you can just hop on your bike and go.
That's right.
The DMV is always an exciting place to visit.
It is.
Luckily, today at
It's
the
pretty
one in
fun.
Endicott, it was very slow.
Yeah, and that's normally a pretty busy one.
Yeah, it is.
And they were. We got there, and I'm figuring there'd be at least a half hour wait. And
Yeah, there was a guy ahead of us. There was like a family there with their daughter getting her license or permit or something,
Right.
or permit probably, and
some guy telling him his life story.
yeah. Well, the guy ahead of us was telling life story, and
Yeah, that's why it's lovely when you have a person in front of you at the DMV talking to the lady about everything in your life except what they're actually there for.
right. And then he ended up not even like sitting there and doing anything. He ended up they sent him away or
Send 'em
whatever.
away. Well, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
So, what's going on with you, Dan? Anything?
Just nothing really.
I guess we should send a shout out to Rainbow, a friend of yours.
Yeah.
She has She had a little boo boo.
Yes, she did.
She tripped and fell and kind of hit her face. And
Yeah, she bounced her face off some pavement.
Hope you feel better soon, Rainbow.
Yeah, I hope you
Earth.
feel better.
We're thinking of you.
Yep.
Will, anything going on in your exciting life?
Not really.
No.
No.
Well, I'm looking forward to the bazaar that already happened. Well, because we're pre-recording, so.
Yes. Oh, on this weekend?
Yes, this weekend.
Oh, at the,
up the road from my house is St. Anthony's feast days. It's
at the yeah. That's a fun time. Me and the wife are going to be there
on Sunday. Today.
We're going to be there today.
Yeah, it's 3 days of food and drink and music.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Nice. It's a nice time.
Not Catholic, but
The community kind of comes together.
Yep.
And,
You don't have to be Catholic to go. Yeah.
Everybody has a good time.
Yep. They have all kinds of food.
Great food.
Lamb speedies, grilled pizza.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just a nice festival.
Yep. And most people listening probably don't even know what speedies are.
No. Speedies are only in the Northeast. Actually in the Binghamton, New York, Endicott, Owego.
Well, basically the Binghamton area.
The Twin Tiers.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can get them out in Elmira a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they're starting to spread out a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
What they are, they're basically like a shish kebab. Similar.
Right.
You take a piece of meat, like whether it's lamb, beef.
Traditional is lamb.
Traditional is lamb, but you can use anything. Use beef.
Yeah, now
pork,
most people eat chicken.
Chicken speedies. And there's a marinade you can buy. If you go online and Google speedies, there's one called the State Fair Speedy Sauce.
Isn't it Salamita's, right?
Salamita.
It is Salamita
Yeah.
State
And
Fair.
it is absolutely, it's probably one of the better ones.
Right.
And what you do is you cut your meat up into small square, like 1-inch chunks,
Yeah, like 1-inch cubes or chunks.
and you marinate it for about 6-7 hours.
Well,
Chicken only 6 or 7 hours.
well, even chicken, I like to do it too, like a day or two.
Yeah, the longer the better, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
If you're doing beef or pork, you want to marinate for a couple days.
Yeah, I like going 2 or 3 days because.
And basically,
More flavor.
the vinegar cooks the meat.
Right. Yeah, like
But-
chicken when they're done marinating, they
And
look
you
almost cooked.
Now, what we call them around here, they're called speedy skewers, but they're basically shish kebab skewers.
Yeah, they're just long metal skewers.
Yeah, skewers. And you string the meat on, and you put it over charcoal and cook it, and then you eat it on a slice of Italian bread.
Right.
Traditionally, you don't put anything else on it. You just eat the speedy, and that's it.
Like up there, if you go in the lamb speedy line, they have some of the marinade in like a ketchup bottle.
And you can throw a little
a
extra.
little extra marinade on
Right.
top. But
Yeah.
nothing else. You're not really Traditionally, you don't put anything else on it.
Right. Traditionally, you just put the meat on a slice of bread and you eat it that way.
Right.
Some
We-
people put it.
We even have a huge festival for it here.
Yeah, we
every year
actually
now.
have a Speedy Festival. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's quite large.
it is.
I think it's a lot of people.
Well, and
We
actually,
launch a lot of hot air balloons.
Yeah.
And
you can buy the Speedy marinade quite a ways away. When I was at Cobleskill. I was at Cobleskill, and the local Walmart carried Salamita State Fair Speedy sauce.
And probably nobody actually knew what a Speedy is.
Right.
But they
All the kids I went to college with didn't know what a
had
Speedy
no idea
was.
what the Speedy
So
was. Yeah.
we bought some chicken, and I made some Speedies up there. Yeah.
But that's basically what it is. And it's kind of something it's an Italian, the Italian.
It's got to be very regional though, because it
Yeah.
only exists in this area, like at least by that name.
Well, it started with the Italians in North Endicott,
Right.
and they brought it from the old country, probably some kind of a thing they used to do. I'm sure that's where it originated from.
Right.
And,
Speedy's not Italian, so I'm guessing
I'm
that.
sure they probably called it that because we couldn't pronounce what they were called over there.
Right. Exactly.
But anyways, we are Let's Talk Ghosts, and we are here to talk about ghost hunting,
Not food.
not food. We're not the Food Network here.
no.
Now
Speaking of ghost hunting,
we went ghost hunting
We
we
did.
did.
at the Erie Mansion in Clyde, New York.
Yes.
Yeah, good time.
It's a very interesting place.
Really, really interesting place. What we have is we do have a couple interviews that Will got from previous guests,
Well, or people that have
are
been
people
there.
that have been there and that have had experiences. So it's later in the show here in a little while. We'll play a couple of those interviews. Now we got there, me and Dan and Will. We got there early, and of course, my first concern was I had to find a bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my first concern everywhere I go. I got a bladder the size of a walnut. But once we got inside, everything was good. He gave us a quick tour of the place, and
Yep.
the place is phenomenal.
Oh, it is.
It is. It's huge.
The mansion is around 12,000 square feet, approximately.
Yeah. Roughly.
That's what it's advertised as.
Right.
It's got how many rooms? 48?
40 something.
40
40
something
some
rooms.
rooms. He's listed as a bed and breakfast, so he can in New York State rules you can only have 5 rooms. That's
Well,
the most you can have in a bed and breakfast.
For rent.
For rent.
Or, yeah, whatever. For guests.
And
to
the
stay in.
gentleman that owns this mansion is an exclusive or an extensive collector of dark, macabre, gothic artifacts.
Yeah.
Would that be a pretty fair
Yeah.
general description of his collection?
Oh, yeah.
Everything from skulls. I believe he had a human skull
You did.
He had one human skull. Yeah.
to a human tooth art
Yeah.
to different kinds of animal skulls and alligator hides,
Zebra hides.
zebra hides. He had different
Yeah,
types
a lot
of
of
animals
animal hides. And
that he's purchased throughout the years.
I saw lots of little critters around.
The furniture is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. He likes, like, macabre
Very,
stuff.
very
and,
ornate.
and also very ornate, like wooden furniture.
Like the one he has the opium den bed
Yeah.
that is a big wooden box basically.
Right.
It's boxed in. It's a bed. It's actually really nice.
It is.
It's
yeah.
got a curtain that pulls tight in the front. And they used to use these in opium dens. That they would get inside and smoke opium, and the smoke would stay inside, and they could keep breathing the smoke in. I'm
Right.
assuming that's what that was all about.
Yeah, yeah, that's what he said. Yeah,
Right. And this came from China, and it's about 100 years old.
right.
Beautiful house. Nice. Clyde is a nice little town.
It is.
It's about 2 hours from here.
About 2 hours.
Hour and a half, 2 hours.
Nice
something like
drive down
that.
Kyoto Lake.
Yep. Nice drive up by the Finger Lakes in New York State. If you go online on the computer and just Google Erie Mansion, Clyde, New York, you'll find it. And there's nice pictures of it and the stories about it. Now, the stories before we even got there, there's some urban. I'm gonna refer to it more as urban legend than as fact.
Right, because there's no actual documentation of these events happening or not happening.
That the one son back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, was a serial killer.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
a little bit of history of the house is the family that owned it. They were very, very wealthy.
Very wealthy.
Very wealthy.
They owned the largest glass manufacturer
Right.
in the world.
So they didn't just have this mansion in upstate New York. They also had an apartment or whatever, apartments in Manhattan. Or
Right.
down in New York City.
They owned they had a big glass manufacturing. They made glass jars and glass bottles, and they were
Right.
one of the largest ones in the world for making these.
Yeah.
So they had money.
They,
So this is a large house.
right.
I guess it had an elevator at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the back stairs were in the old elevator
Right.
shaft.
Right. So if you like I say, if you go online, there's a lot of photographs of the interior of the mansion,
Yeah.
exterior
Of the guest rooms.
of the
and-
guest rooms that he rents out, and the man he no, I mean he goes to great expense.
Oh, yeah, all the furniture and all the collectibles and his, his
He
collection is
does
amazing.
not cut corners anywhere. The furniture. The one room, which was called the master bedroom on the first floor, that it
Right.
rents out for $500 a night,
Yes.
has $65,000 worth of furniture in it,
Just in the bedroom.
just in the bedroom.
And it's not a very big room.
It's and that $65,000 worth of furniture is in 3 pieces.
Yeah.
There's
Basically three pieces.
like 2 wooden, like hand carved, kind of like armoires or whatever they are, and then there's a Chinese marriage bed,
Something like that, yeah.
over 100-year-old hand carved wooden
Right.
bed frame.
So it's really a really interesting house to like I say, there's some urban legend about the original owner's son, possibly Bill Ely, being a serial killer.
They called him the Broadway Playboy.
Yeah, he was a playboy, and there's some different stories that you'll hear from our interviews.
Right.
And true, there's no real documentation of any of this. There is some documentation of some possible something between 2 of the servants.
Right.
Yes.
There is
There was
documentation
one
about
servant that was from Japan and one was from China, and
Right.
they absolutely hated each
a
other.
butler from China and a cook or chef from Japan.
And they hated each other.
Yes.
Well, somehow the one from China kind of disappeared.
Right.
And later they ended up finding his severed head
His severed head in a box.
in a box in some flop house.
In a flop house, yeah.
Well, meanwhile, right after this,
Well, before they found the head, but
the
after
Japanese
after,
cook
after the Chinese
decided he needed to go back to Japan.
Right, he went down to the city and told the
Owner,
owner's
wife.
mother
Yeah, the mother.
of Bill that he needed to go home because he's the eldest son and his father had died.
Right. And she wanted him to go back to work, and he said no, and he just left. Never to be seen again.
Right, and
Nope.
then shortly after that is when they found the severed head.
The severed head.
of the
So
Chinaman.
they pretty much figured they got in a fight, and he cut the guy's head off.
Right,
And,
and fled the country.
and fled the country. Pretty much
Is what?
Does-
Yeah,
they kind of came to the conclusion.
Now, there
whether
is-
or
there-
not he was killed there.
right.
And there you go with the urban legend. The urban legend said they found the headless body upstairs in
And
the
never
house.
and never found the head.
Never found the head.
But
that's not true
the newspaper article that he had newspaper articles,
Right.
and they said that the head was found.
they never found the body.
They never found the body.
Right. So it's interesting though. So anyways, these old buildings.
But there was an account that someone gave that they saw Bill Ely shoot one of the women and drag
Right.
her back into the home.
Right.
Right.
But there was never any police reports
No.
or any other
But
documentation.
then on the other hand, they're saying these people were so wealthy and they were good friends with the governor.
they were so well connected that
If he was killing prostitutes, which is what they claimed he was killing, was prostitutes, that they were so well connected that they could have all these crimes just pretty much washed away and not even reported.
well, and,
Yeah.
and he died quite mysteriously too. He was
Right.
only 35 years old, and he died in the mansion
On the first flight.
on the second landing. The
Second
stairs
landing,
have
yes.
2 landings. He died on the second landing at 35 of a heart attack,
Right.
which even back then would be very rare for a 35-year-old to drop dead of a heart attack.
Right.
Especially, in his pictures, he wasn't overweight. He was young and looked like he was in decent shape. I mean,
Now,
Now, there's an interesting story with one of the interviews I did with a girl named Barbara,
yeah,
where she saw lights and stuff on that landing, but she did not know that that's where Bill Ely
okay.
had died of a heart attack.
Hmm.
And you'll hear it when we play the interview.
well, there's also the urban myth or whatever that he hung himself. That he thought the police were going to come and arrest him.
And he hung himself
And
before they could arrest
then
him.
he hung himself,
Right.
and
Now,
They may have reported it as a
the worst part about that investigation
yeah.
was the stairs.
Oh wow,
Oh, I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
lots of stairs.
I was running up and down the stairs getting our equipment. Well, we carried everything to the third floor. Then we realized that wasn't the place we wanted to stage our DVR system from.
Well, because
So then we had to go all the way back and carry everything to the second floor,
yeah.
and then then setting up all the cameras and everything. There's a lot up and downstairs. And a lot
The setup is a little weird because if you want to get to the basement, you have to at least go to the second floor.
second
you get
floor.
to the basement by going to the second floor and down the back steps.
Yeah, and you got to walk across the length of the mansion and then
Right.
down back.
Well,
back
because you
steps.
can't access the back steps from the first floor.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty strange
Or
how that is.
Yeah, the way it's laid out is there. Yeah.
Unless there is a door and he just wasn't letting us use it.
Well, no, there is a back door that goes to the first floor, but that's that ramp that the
Oh,
you know
okay.
the ramp, the wheelchair ramp type thing.
That was the only door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that would go into the house. There was a back door in that stairwell, but that just went outside and back into the stairwell. It didn't go into the house on the first floor.
Now we do have a lot of video and EVP sessions
And
Yeah.
photographs
and photographs and stuff to review, in which we have not had time to do it yet because we just did the investigation a week ago, and I've been busy with the motorcycle classes and stuff. So Will's going to come out and spend the night, and me and him are going to work on them.
Yep.
Work on them, try and get through a bunch of it, see if we can find anything. It's kind of nice when you do it with two people, because if I hear something, I can say, "What do you think of this?"
Yeah.
You know, you can kind of feed off each other if you pick something up.
Yeah.
Because I know when I do it alone, a lot of times I'll hear something. I just wish somebody else was here to say, "What do you think? What do you think?" You know, and does that sound like something? So it is nice to have two people do it.
It
So
is.
we should be able to get to it pretty quick.
Well, do
In 15, 16 hours.
Yeah.
you want to play one of the interviews?
We can do that. I mean,
play our
we got
first
plenty
interview?
of time.
Yeah.
Why don't we play the first interview with the lawnmower background?
Yes. Yeah. When we were doing this interview, there was a lawnmower running in the background, and yeah.
We wanted to go over and pull a spark plug wire off.
It's actually not that bad though. It's
No,
not
it's not as
we
bad as
thought.
we were afraid it was going to be, because
Yeah.
we got there and we're trying to do this interview, and the right across the street is a church, and this guy is over there mowing the lawn. Well, okay, we could see he was done. So then, but the mower is still going back and forth and back and forth, and we keep looking. We're trying to do this interview, and we look over and he's mowing the sidewalk.
Just going back
He's
and
just
forth.
pushing it back and forth on the sidewalk. I think he was trying to blow the grass off.
That's what it looked like he was doing. Yeah.
But I mean, we're like, for God's sake, just shut that stupid thing off. We're trying to do an interview over here, and he finally did. But about time we got done with the interview.
Well, and
Yeah.
well, also, even when he was putting the lawnmower away, he had it running the whole time.
yeah, he couldn't just turn it off and push it over to the garage. No, he has to push it running the whole way.
to the garage.
Yes, special.
Yeah, I have a
You
feeling.
know why?
he
I'll
was-
bet it's got. I'll tell you why. I bet it had automatic. You know, it probably self-propelled.
Oh.
That's why he kept it running to get it to the garage.
That's
Just-
true.
Oh,
It's
okay.
probably self-propelled.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Okay, why don't we play that interview?
Okay, I can do that.
Alrighty then.
Hi, this is Will. I'm here with Chris Freisinger, and we are at the Erie Mansion in Clyde, New York. And now you're a witness of some of the spiritual activity that's gone on here.
Yes.
All right, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, the first thing I noticed, anytime I never really spent time here as a kid. It used to be basically a low rent housing project that went into disrepair. Mark bought it after cash had put about $1 million into it to fix it up. So I met Mark, started coming over here. I noticed after coming over a few times, I didn't feel right for a day or two. I felt physically ill. A mutual friend of ours, Angela Murphy, used to come over here on occasion too. One night, I'm going to say about 5 years ago, I was walking downtown to go down and get a hamburger. I would say it was probably sometime around 6:30 in the evening, probably July. And Angela called me earlier from work, and she'd be getting out about 11, wanted to know if I'd meet her downtown later, have a beer. I said, sure. She was in Seneca Falls. So I'm walking down the street, across the street, and I know Mark wasn't here because he had been out of town. The house was, all the lights were off. All of a sudden I heard Angela yell at me from the upstairs window, which was open. I heard her say, Chris, I'm in here. I'm a musician. I have a good ear. And I knew it was her voice, no question about it. And it was loud. So I stopped and went, Angela, Angela, what are you doing? What? So I walked across the street and I started thinking, that wasn't Angela. But I still walked across the street. I walked up, I looked upstairs, I walked around here. Mark was gone, the car was gone, the doors were locked, and Angela was at work. So I went downtown, had dinner, hung out with people. Angela got out of work about 11:15. And I told her what happened. She goes, well, I was at work the whole time. I said, I know you were. But it was her voice. And I don't know that ghosts mimic voices. I think it's something demonic here, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That's,
Can you tell?
I think that's why I feel
you know
nauseous.
a little bit about the history here of what happened. Can you tell us?
Well, from a fellow that was a professor at Syracuse University. He was also, as a hobby, would do family genealogies. And he did the genealogy of this family. It was printed in local papers, and Mark has a lot of those that I got for him. But he had come to our school when I was a child, probably 1970, and was telling the story of growing up with being best friends of Billy's older sisters, the Ely children. And one of them in particular, her married name was Fallon. And I believe they lived in that house over there, the yellow house.
Okay.
And he had said that he told us a history at school. My father was a teacher at the Clyde High School, and I had told him, I went to his classroom, I said, this guy came in and tell us the history. I loved history. So my dad invited him over to the house, and after school he came over to the house and talked to my dad about a lot of the history. I listened to it, and then they started talking privately, and I was in the other room, I was listening. And I heard him say something about Billy, how do I say this, like, not being well endowed.
Okay.
To the fact that people were making fun of him, girls. And apparently, now this is a friend of the Fallons, of Billy's sister, older sisters, who told him this, that he had been implicated, this is after his death, that he had been implicated in murders here in Clyde. Many of them were prostitutes he picked up in New York. Family was one of the wealthiest families in North America at the time. Their wealth back then was between $30 and $50 million, which in today's terms is upwards of $1 billion.
Yeah.
And he was known as the Glass King on Broadway. He'd hang out with all the actresses, and he'd get the high-priced prostitutes. The story, as I remember hearing my dad said, see, my dad had told me after I asked him some questions. I wasn't sure what he was talking about. I was a little kid. He explained to me what he was talking about. They've been made fun of, would get mad, and strangle a woman. Mayor LaGuardia, the police chief, were all personal friends of the Ely's, started saying there was pressure put on them. He can't just, some of these women, these weren't just low-end prostitutes. These were high-end prostitutes, some of them from nice families. They wanted to know what happened to their children.
Yeah, right.
Their daughters. Well, the story was that Billy, when the pressure was getting hot, and there was a lot of pressure for arrest, as I understand, then another thing happened. There's a prostitute, apparently, he was here, an old fella, now a young man at the time, was pumping gas in one of the first gas stations in Clyde. He was right over there across the street, and he could see the Ely house, and he heard yelling, and he heard gunshots, 3 or 4 pops. And he stopped and looked, and he saw a woman laying on the steps, motionless. So he saw Billy grab her by the feet, just drag her up the stairs with no respect whatsoever. He said her head was bouncing off the steps. He called the police. Police came, later said, that's nothing. It was a misunderstanding. They had a lot of important friends, a lot of power. They were friends with the governor. Again, friends with very important people.
So him dragging a woman up the steps and bouncing her head off the steps was a misunderstanding.
Yeah. But apparently, as I understand it, pressure got very, very hot. He was going to be arrested by New York City police, because he was the last one of these women that were killed. I don't know how many were killed, but apparently multiple prostitutes were killed. It wasn't a regular event. So, next thing you know, he says he has a heart attack at the age of 35. He says he falls down on the steps, and the mother heard a big boom. She said he had gone downstairs to get tea for her and heard the tray he had heard him hit. On the halfway up the steps, there's a big veranda there. Some of the other investigators said that they got information that in fact he'd hung himself. And again, that was the story I know, my personal experience, and I don't know a lot about ghosts, but as I understand, it's demons that mimic voices, not ghosts, not dismembered, how you say it? Disembodied souls. And I feel sick here. I've been in other houses that were haunted in my life. I feel sick every time I leave here. At first, I thought it was a coincidence. I would forget about it, then the next day, I'm sick for 2 days. I didn't feel right. I don't like being in there. I haven't been in there for 2 years for a reason.
Oh, wow.
I'm friends with Mark. I don't go in there anymore. Probably 2.5 years.
There's another story about 2 servants that got into a fight.
Yes.
Do you know the story?
I can't tell you which was Japanese, which was Chinese, but there was a one was Japanese who was the servant, one was a chef. It may have been Chinese, or I think it was vice versa. Japanese chef, a Chinese butler, and they didn't get along. They didn't like each other. And Mrs. Ely was out on one of her many trips to New York City. They owned an apartment there. You know, people, they were buying apartments back then, and she got a call from one of the servants saying, "I'm leaving. I'm going. My father died. I have to go back to the home country. I have to go back home. My father's dead, and I have to represent my family." Well, this had taken place after a murder. That's why he left. She said, "You're not leaving. By no means are you leaving. I'll be home Monday." Comes home. The fellow's gone. He had been living in a shack where a lot of poor people lived over in Sodas. A lot of the migrant workers lived there too. He lived there, a flop house. And so police couldn't find anybody here. Didn't know where they were. Police plus they couldn't find the butler. So the police went over to the house of the chef. Looked under his bed and found the butler's head in a box under his bed. And he had taken off, probably left the country, or at least left this area. I think he went back to either Japan or China. I forget which was which, but
yeah.
And so he beheaded the guy. They figured it was with one of the cleavers from the kitchen.
Wow.
But some of the other ghost investigators have been here also found information that perhaps there's bodies here, which would make sense. I don't know where, but maybe they took the body out in the dark. But that woman that apparently shot.
From what I've read and understand, they supposedly were buried in the basement temporarily.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they never found the body of the fellow that the chef killed. Just his head.
Just his head.
Yeah.
Wow.
And these aren't hearsay stories. These are real.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us. We really
I appreciate
it.
I appreciate it very much.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
And that was Chris Freisinger.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice man.
Very nice guy.
It was nice of him to give us that interview.
It was.
Hey, Dan,
Yeah.
it's about halfway through the show.
Sure is. Are you trying to get at something?
I would like to hear some music.
Okay, I think I can do that.
I would like to hear some independent music from an independent artist.
I can do that. This week we have Prelude the Ruin with Note to Self, and you can check them out on our featured artist page.
So shed this final fear. My arms open wide to all that lies below. I'll soar past my disgrace. I'll fall away from the shame I should face and say goodbye. Is it better to live with the pain or not to live at all? Just walk away and walk away. My arms open wide for all left to behold. I'll rise above disgrace. I'll push through all of the shame and embrace a greater fight.
Look, we're almost to the top.
Over there, the wise old man of the mountain.
Hey, wise old man, what's the meaning of life?
That's easy. Just listen to Let's Talk Ghost every Sunday night from 8 to 9 on DTMWickedRadio.com.
Hey, this is Mike Zone from Obscura Antiques and Oddities, and you're listening to Let's Talk Ghost.
And that was Prelude the Ruin with Note to Self, and you can check them out on our featured artist page.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is.
That is.
Now, what were we talking about?
Well, I think it's time.
I think it is time.
Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Time for what, Dan?
Time for What the Heck Does That Mean?
You guys do that so well.
Oh, we do. We've been
Yeah.
practicing.
Yeah.
So, Dan, what word do you have this week?
The word this week is wabbit.
Wabbit.
Yes, it is.
Well, Elmer Fudd, he used to go hunting Wascoey Wabbit.
Well, actually, in the definition I found online, it says not what Elmer Fudd calls Bugs Bunny.
Wow.
But it's spelled W-A-B-B-I-T.
Well, that's exactly the same way that we used to do it when we're hunting Wascoey Wabbits.
Yeah, it's not that wabbit.
Not that wabbit?
Not that
okay.
wabbit.
A wabbit, I would say, is a fur-bearing creature with really long ears. No? No.
No.
Okay, a wabbit. It's probably not even an animal.
No, it has nothing to do with
A
animals.
wabbit is
No peeking.
a wabbit. You got any ideas, what?
Wabbit.
All I can see is Elmer Fudd now. A wabbit is probably some kind of a.
It's Scottish of origin.
Scottish of origin.
Yes.
A wabbit. It's a type of beverage that they drink while wearing no underwear under their kilts,
No.
and it's a sound that their kilts make when the wind blows.
That's right. No. Not
Wabbit, wabbit, wabbit. No.
really. No.
A wabbit is Scottish in origin.
I actually thought it was a piece of clothing.
No.
No.
Nothing to do with,
Okay,
with a piece
a
of clothing.
wabbit would it be one of those? Okay, you know when they grab that giant telephone pole and they wing it and they run with it and they.
Yeah.
Is that Scottish, right? They're wearing their kilts because they wear their kilts when they do that.
Right.
They run and they got that like a pole.
Looks like a telephone pole.
Yeah, that's a wabbit.
No, that is not a wabbit.
It was
I was
actually
trying.
it was actually William Scott's nickname.
No.
No.
Use it in a sentence, please.
Okay. After the investigation at the Erie Mansion, you were quite wabbit.
Oh, tired.
Okay, yeah. It means exhausted or slightly unwell.
Really?
Yes.
Wabbit.
Wow.
Slightly exhausted.
It means
and-
exhausted or slightly unwell.
Oh, wabbit.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yes, it is.
You're feeling pretty wabbit after your.
Actually,
After my
I'm
2
feeling
days.
I'm feeling pretty wabbit right now.
After the investigation and my 3 days of motorcycle training, I'm a little bit on the wabbit side.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, it is. It is. It is awesome.
Okay, so now that's it. Let's go home.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been a great show.
Now we're still talking about the Erie Mansion,
We are.
and hopefully in a week or so after we review our evidence, we can also share that with you. And Dan, you're going to put some pictures up on our site. Try and get some pictures up. of
I
it.
took about 300 or 400 pictures while we were there, so I just need to sift through them, and I'll put some of them on our website so people can see.
You haven't had a chance to go through them, see if there's anything in them yet.
No, I have not. I can do that tonight. It won't.
Yeah.
It won't take me long.
Okay.
Because I'd say the first 100 or so
Are they-
pictures are all of just the tour and daylight.
Are they on an SD card?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to just give me the SD card, I can. Well, you don't have it with you, do you?
No, I don't have my camera here. The,
I'll say-
the SD card's still on my camera.
Okay, if you want me to just bring it here and review the photos on the computer.
Well, I mean, I have 2 laptops. I'm fine.
All right, that's fine.
Well, before we get into more, why don't we play the second interview?
Want to do the second interview
Yeah.
with what was her name?
Barbara.
Barbara Smith. Oh, you want me to play that?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and play?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Let me talk. She's a friend of Mark, the owner
Yeah.
of the Erie Mansion, and apparently she has had some experiences.
Yes.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and play her interview?
You sure?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So your name is what?
My name's Barbara.
Okay.
Barbara Smith. I don't know.
Barbara Smith.
Right.
And you grew up here in the area?
I grew up here till 1976 and I moved to West Palm Beach.
Oh, okay. Well, you like Florida?
It's my home, yeah.
It's too hot for me. Okay, so you've had some experiences here at Clyde Mansion.
Well, yes, and actually growing up, you know, it was always known as the haunted mansion. You know, we would walk by and then there's a rectangular glass window up on the top floor where it was known somebody was hung up there, and it was very, very spooky to everybody. This whole town is known of being a haunted house.
So there was a hanging up here?
That's what it has been known to be. Mark probably would know about that. It's upstairs, the very top floor, and that's a room that he doesn't really use. And I don't know why for that. There's like a rectangular, like a stop sign type window. And that's supposed to be where that happened. But it's like this whole town has always been known as a haunted place, you know. So then this, you know, so I've been here a lot of times, but I've had one big experience here, you know.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was really, really cool. I'm an identical twin. I know, you know, and I've always believed, you know, I have that because being an identical twin, there's so much power with all that. You know what I mean with that? So we were upstairs. He'll take people on tours and stuff, and it was late. And he was my twin sister and my nephew, which I wish he had come because he also seen it. But they were standing in a doorway, and I'm out in the hallway, and I was looking at them, and behind them, coming out from the room, but to go behind them from the doorway, this girl, she had like a bonnet on with a wide rim, and then it came up like that, and she would look like about 18 years old, and she had little dark hair with curls, and she just looked at us, slowly walked behind them, and looked at me the whole time going back there. It was I could draw a picture if I knew how to draw. It was phenomenal. It was fabulous. Pardon me?
You said this was on the third floor?
On the third floor, he told me it was a presidential suite. It's right in, where the bar room is, where the pool table is like right up above that.
Oh, okay.
And it was really, really, really cool.
How many years ago was this?
Gosh, this is probably about, I'm going 3 years maybe?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I only come about once a year. I'd say it's probably 3, maybe 2 to 3 years ago.
And do you usually stay here when you come?
I stay in Clyde.
Oh, okay.
But not here.
Not here.
No, not here.
Okay, but you visit here.
I visit here. Oh yeah, yes, definitely. But it was pronounced. In fact, I named her. It's like Mary, you know. It's just like you could feel what she felt, and you know, and it's just it was wild. You know.
And how long did you see her for? Was it?
Well, I could actually show you a way how it went. Saying this was the doorway, and they were facing this way, and I'm facing towards her. She just came like, you know, came out and just went like. But we went like this, and we just walked right this close to behind them. Then she went and then like that, and then she was gone. But the doorway's probably this wide, so I got a good. It was.
Did it seem like she noticed you, or?
Oh, she absolutely noticed me. It was a total eye contact. There's no doubt in my mind. Oh yes, you know, kind of like. She looked sad, and then she looked lonely, and looked like, you know, would like to be my friend type thing, you know, kind of like. She knew that I believed in it, she just believed in me and whatever.
Okay.
That it was really neat.
All right. Any other experiences here?
You know, I've heard being in the bar, just like a knocking, you know, like that.
And that's the billiard room, correct?
The billiard room,
Yeah.
right. Hearing knocking like that. But otherwise, like major shootings of the light until you get to the top. The stairs go like this.
Yeah.
When you do the first, and then you got the flat area, then you're going to go up and around. And the shootings of lights till you get to there, and then I didn't.
And that's where Bill Ely supposedly died of a heart attack.
Actually, I don't know anything. I don't know.
Yeah,
any.
he went up that one set of stairs, and he turned up in that flat landing.
Oh, really? Oh, see, I don't know any of the information of
Where he fell and
anything.
died of a heart attack.
Oh, yes, but I was always like, I would see it there, and sometimes drastically, and then through standing there, and through this room, you know, I would see it through this
So that's
room.
interesting that you said that, and you didn't even know.
No, I did not know.
Yeah.
I really don't know anything. You know, I know that people were older. I know it's been around a long time,
Yeah.
but no, I did not know that at all.
Well,
So
that's
that's-
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's really neat to go. You see, it's like, wow, holy cow, you know. And it's like sometimes it's like a really long light, you know, that'll do it. That's pretty cool.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you for coming and talking to us today. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
you're very welcome.
All
Hey,
right.
yeah, sure.
And that was Barbara Smith, another friend of Mark's, the owner.
Yeah.
That was an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I know she was a very, very nice person.
And the fact that she had an experience in a place that she wasn't aware that he had died there.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Not just in the place, but the place he actually
Well,
Right.
supposedly died.
supposedly died.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of things are kind of supposedly.
Of course, if he hung himself, he may have hung himself on the stairs.
Yeah.
But you know, that's something that people are going to have to take in consideration when they do go out investigating. Is you got to try to separate fact from fiction.
Right.
And in this place, there's a lot of
urban legend.
right.
Yeah.
And urban legend is based on some fact and a lot of speculation.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and like what we were saying when we were talking about it is, you know, because we have kind of an experience with this in our small town, having a very rich family.
Oh yeah.
And you put this huge mansion in the middle of a very, very small town, and this family is just so much
They're
richer.
just doting over everybody.
Right.
They're
They-
big over.
they're
I mean,
basically-
Not, well, no, I don't know
they
if that's
were-
the right word, but they're just above everybody.
They were
with
basically,
money
you know,
and
they
power.
weren't just. I mean, back then they were millionaires, but
Right.
in today's money, they'd be billionaires.
Right.
And they're living in a small town where everybody else is working class.
Right.
So when you're a billionaire living in a working class town, people are going to talk.
Right. Absolutely. And stories are going to be made up, and accusations are going to be made, and
Right.
and eventually the separation of fact and what ends up being just urban legend, they kind of blend together.
But
Yeah.
what you also have to take into consideration is that they were a very powerful family, and if he was killing prostitutes and did hang himself, they would have the money and influence.
They were very connected.
They were very connected. They just to keep their family name from being tarnished, they could get those records
Oh, yeah.
taken care of.
And the fact that if he was killing prostitutes back in that day,
right.
they were a prostitute. If you murdered a prostitute, you probably, and you were rich, you could they probably wouldn't even prosecute you.
Right.
They would probably look the other way.
Right. And if they are as connected as they were, you know, they could make the records disappear,
Right.
or there would be no records even made up about it. So it's really hard to tell if, you know, fact from fiction,
Right.
because there's just no documentation.
Right. So,
And if he did hang himself, again, the family wouldn't want that, you know, to tarnish their name.
and you know,
Yeah.
not to take away from the Erie Mansion, it's a beautiful place.
Oh, it is.
And we'll see what we get. And other investigation teams have gotten stuff there, so we'll just see what we get.
Right.
But you always got to remember that when you're out there investigating these old buildings and these old mansions that have these grand stories that go with them, you always got to remember that you have to at some point in time you have to separate urban legend from fact,
Right. And,
Yeah.
and Mark had a lot of newspaper clippings.
which was a help,
Right. So, I mean,
and that was nice.
yeah.
He's got a bunch of books that he opens up, and it's got
Bill
a lot of
Ely did die- yeah.
newspaper clippings.
Right. Bill
and
Ely
different
did
things.
die in the house, according
Yes.
to the newspapers.
Well, you know, back then everybody died in their
Right.
house.
But he was
People
30,
died at home.
Well, but he was 35.
Right.
So, I mean, he died young, unexpectedly.
You know, the story about the woman being shot and dragged back in,
That's a story.
that's a story. There's no proof
right.
of it. It's just a story.
Yeah.
And you got to, and that's something anybody out there doing investigations have always, excuse me, you always have to take urban legend stories with a grain of salt,
Right.
because they're a lot of fact, or a little bit of fact,
And a lot of fiction.
and a lot of fiction, a lot of speculation.
Again, in this case, though, you really it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But there's no police records. There's no
Right.
newspaper articles.
So you just got to make your own conclusions for now. I think if I lived up in that area, got a bug flying around here. There we go. Yeah. I think if I lived in that area, I'd probably spend more time doing research, like at libraries, looking for more information, articles about it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think you could get down to the more of the truth of what happened.
Possibly.
You know, and but you know, it's a fun place.
Yeah. I mean, I think the truth is like pretty much lost to time.
Right.
Because anybody that was there to to witness anything is
Right.
long gone.
You know,
And,
for the last 10 minutes, why don't we go in ghost hunting mode?
we could.
Could
You
do
want
that.
to?
Yeah.
We could do that. Ooh. That was my ghost hunting mode music.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
It
Yeah,
wasn't-
but
wasn't-
if you
it was
guys
very
are
low
in,
tech.
if you guys live near Clyde, New York, or you're going to be visiting near there, I highly recommend just going and taking a tour of the place.
Right,
Yeah, he does tours.
for $10.
Yeah.
And he'll take you around the mansion, and just seeing his collection
Is
of
worth it.
is worth the $10.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fantastic.
He's got some really cool collections of different artifacts from around the world.
And you're going to find him interesting.
He's an interesting individual.
He's a fantastic guy. I really enjoyed meeting him.
Handlebar mustache and a bowler hat,
Yeah.
and he rides a big wheel,
A
high
highway-
wheel bicycle.
Yeah, like the 1890s bicycle. with
and
a
he
big,
entertained
big front
us
wheel.
entertained us with some liquor tricks.
Some
Yep.
fire breathing.
Yeah,
He's a stilt walker.
He's a stilt walker. He has a really neat costume that makes him about 9 or 10 feet tall
Right.
on stilts, and it's like a big skeleton face. And he said the mask is like from Africa or something that he incorporated into it or something.
Yeah.
It's some really fancy tribal mask or something. And it's really, I saw the mask. It's pretty creepy. It's pretty neat what he does.
Yeah.
No, he's a character. Now, would I recommend ghost hunting there? Sure, why not? It wasn't that expensive. You do have to pay.
Yeah.
And I think anybody that's ever listened to our show and is familiar with our show, I'm not a big fan of paid investigations. However,
This one was very reasonable.
this one did not cost that much. He only charges $200 for one night to investigate. And that was a group of 10.
Up to a
Up
group
to-
of
up
10
to-
people.
Up to a group of 10. So it ends up costing you $20. $20 a person.
If
Yeah,
you,
it's
if you
not
get
bad
10
at
people,
all.
yeah.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
That's cheap. It's some of these places are charging $200 and $300 a person.
Yeah, and
That gets a little expensive.
you can go up to the Waterloo Outlet Mall and
And go, yeah, you can stop in at the Waterloo Outlet at
We
Vanity
did.
Fair and buy cheap pants.
yeah, we did.
I got to. I keep losing mine.
Yeah, I noticed
Well,
that.
and the nice thing is we did have complete run of the place.
Yes.
There was basically nowhere off limits.
Nope. You can go anywhere you want. Now our only situation was we had a bat.
We did get attacked by a bat in the
We got
basement.
attacked by a bat, but Will saved us. He threw his body on the bat and took one for the LTG team.
And then pulled,
Yes, I did.
pulled an Ozzy Osbourne and bit the bat's head
Bit
off.
the bat's head off.
That I did
Spit
not
the
do.
head. Come on, Will. We're trying to build you up here. Jeez, you had a perfectly good lie going here, and you screwed it up. I don't know I don't know, Dan.
I don't know.
You know, I don't know. We'll move on then.
Yeah.
Actually, we all screamed like little girls and ran out.
Well, you guys did.
I didn't mind the bat. I didn't.
I was just kind of ducking.
So what you're saying? I'm the only one that was screaming like a little girl?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty
Oh.
much.
Wow.
I wasn't really too worried about it.
You know, when you scream that loud and that high, it's hard to hear the other people.
We
so I thought
probably
you
have
were
an EVP of that. We can
Probably.
play that next time.
probably. I didn't think my voice could go that high.
It was pretty high.
Yeah, I'm glad I wear the pins because between the screaming and the and the little bladder I got, I'd been a mess.
Yeah.
It was terrible. But anyways, let's get back to more serious things. We are Let's Talk Ghost. You can listen to us every week.
It's a little early for that.
No, it's not that early because we got some other things to talk to. Oh, well, let's talk about the paranormal picnic.
Yeah.
We'll get to the other stuff first.
Yeah.
In a little bit. July 26th of this year, of the Lord's year of 2014,
So basically about a month and a half.
we are going to have our second paranormal picnic at the LTG Studios. We have a private campground, which is down back behind the place, and you can camp and whatever. You can do whatever.
Yep.
Will did whatever all night.
I did.
And basically what
And
it
by
is...
whatever, that was sleeping.
Yeah. Well, anyway, be serious. What we're doing, we're having a paranormal picnic. It doesn't cost you anything to come. All you got to do is bring a dish appropriately sized for your group to pass. If you have 10 people in your group that's coming, bring a dish that would feed at least 10 people.
Yeah.
Bring a dish to pass. But you have to send us an email to letstalkghost@gmail.com, or send me a message on Facebook, or send me a message on Twitter. I need to know if you're coming, and I need to know how many, because the LTG crew, we're going to supply the meat. We're going to probably do hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe Italian sausage or something.
Now, what time will this picnic begin?
I'm thinking we'll start around 1 o'clock on Saturday.
Okay.
I'm thinking around 1 o'clock would be a good time to start.
Yeah.
If you want to come in early on a Friday, and if you're coming from out of town, you want to camp, bring a tent, you're welcome. You just let me know. You can come in on a Friday night.
Well, I mean, we'll be here
We'll be here.
from Friday through Sunday, so I mean, there's really no official start
We're
time.
pretty easy to get along with here.
Yeah.
I will probably bring my tent and
Camping is free. We don't charge anything. Everything is free. Just show up. We just want the company. We just want to meet other paranormal groups. And
yeah.
so just bring a dish pass. That's it. We're going to supply the meat and the entertainment. We're going to have Dan the DJ.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And I believe the owners of DTM Wicked Radio might be here.
Yep. I got to talk to them, remind them that we're doing that. I'm hoping that DTM Wicked, that would be Tiffany and Denny Gager.
Yeah, hopefully they can make
Hopefully they can make it down, and maybe we get a few more people. Hopefully we get a little more people than last year. Last year was okay. We had a good time, but I'm kind of glad that it was small last year because of the deluge.
it. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
hopefully
if
we have a
we
little
had,
nicer
if we had
weather.
a lot more people, that pavilion would have got really packed.
Yeah, and it's actually I've actually gotten some really good EVPs from down there. So bring your ghost hunting equipment if you want to try, and we can all sit around. We can try and do an EVP session at some point in time if anybody wants to. Other than that, just there to have fun. Now, alcohol, BYOB. We don't supply alcohol, but if you want to drink, you're more than welcome to bring your own booze. I'm just not going to supply it. We will have soda and water and things like that there, but no alcohol. I don't want to get in trouble serving alcohol to people.
Yeah.
Right.
So BYOB.
We'll be drinking
You can
alcohol.
drink. We'll be drinking alcohol, but you got to bring your own booze if
Yep.
you want. Other than that, it's just come have a good time. Now I can do my other stuff.
Yeah, now you can do
Okay,
that
you
stuff.
are listening to Let's Talk Ghost. You can listen to us every week at www.letstalkghost.com. We are a family-friendly talk show, and you will. You can also find us on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. You can find us all over the place. Just search for Let's Talk Ghost. You can. Now we're on YouTube. Search for Let's Talk Ghost. Now we're also on DTM Wicked Radio every Sunday night from 8 till 9. We are also on iTunes, but you have
No,
to.
not iTunes.
I'm sorry.
iHeartRadio.
I'm sorry. We're also. I just pimped iTunes. We're also on iHeartRadio. You just have to search for DTM Wicked Radio and go through their listing of shows. We are on a few other venues, and I got to get a list from the Gagers. Other than that, let me think. You got anything going, Will?
Yeah, if you want to find us, you can go to bpirsparanormal.com. You can find us on Twitter or YouTube at BPIRS Paranormal, or go to Facebook and look up Binghamton Paranormal Investigation Research Society.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Dan,
What?
what do you got going? Anything?
No.
I'm trying to
'cause
put you on the spot.
What are your websites?
What are your websites, Dan?
I take care of the YouTube for Let's Talk Ghosts.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's something new. We've only got about 6 shows up there right now.
About that.
Go to YouTube and look at them. They're fun to watch. They're just us goofing around, and
Yeah.
you can watch. We don't do much. We just sit there, but we're doing the show that you're listening to
Yeah.
that you can hear also on our website.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.
And
Yeah.
other than that, we will see you all on the next investigation.